we're taking a look at the slope of a line. The slope of a line is a line's steepness. The slope is often abbreviated with the letter M, and the slope is a ratio of our change in y, which we often call the rise, compared to the change in x, which we call the run, between any 2 points on the line. And we can call those points x1, y1 for the first point, and x2, y2 for our second point. So the slope is the steepness between those points. So we have a couple different ways of finding slope or defining slope. We say rise over run, so how much it goes up compared to how much it goes over. Change in y over change in x. Y is our vertical axis and x is our horizontal, so it's up and then over. Or we can take 2 points on our graph and we can subtract the y values to see how much it went up, and we can subtract the x values to see how much horizontal distance, how much it went over, and find our slope. We're going to use all of these in this video, so you're going to see how all of these work. One quick way that you can always check your answers is if you see that going from the left to the right, a line is going up, 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 like uphill, we know it should have a positive slope, so your answer should be positive. Going from left to right, if the line is going downhill, it's going to have a negative slope. So that's just a quick way to check your answer. So let's try to find the slope of a line. So very quickly, just from looking at these lines, I can describe the slope of the line. This one is going up from left to right, so I know my answer is going to be positive, a positive slope. This one's going down from left to right, so I'm expecting a negative slope. Now to find my slope this time, since it's on a graph, I'm going to do rise over run. So the rise is how much we go up between the points, and the run is how much we go over. So I'm going to start with my point over here at -3, -1. And first I'm going to see how many boxes we go up. So I'm counting on my graph. We're going up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes. So that's my rise. And then horizontally I'm going over 6 boxes. So that's my run. When I'm going up and to the right, those are positive directions. So my slope is 5/6. In this case, I'm going to start at -1, 1, and I'm going to go to 1, -2. So I start at this point, and first I'm going to do the rise, and then I'll do my run. So the rise is my vertical change. So I'm actually going down here 3 boxes. That's going to be a -3. Down is a negative direction. And then I'm going to the right 2. That's a positive direction. So I get -3 over 2. All right, here we have a couple of lines that are already drawn for us, and they're asking us to find the slope. So in this case, we're going to use our formula, which was to take the y from our second point minus the y from our first point, or we say y2 minus y1, over the x from our second point minus the x from our first point. So we have to decide who's going to be point 1 or point 2, and it really makes no difference. We can just decide. So I'm going to call point 1 here the -1, 5. And point 2, I'm going to call the 6, 5. So if I'm using this formula, I have to take the y value from point 2, so here's point 2, my y value is 5, and subtract the y value from point 1. Point 1's y value is also 5. On the bottom, I'm going to take the x value from point 2, x2 is 6, and then subtract the x value from point 1, which is -1. So 5 minus 5 is 0. 6 minus negative 1 is 7. 0 out of 7 is 0. So the horizontal lines have a slope of 0, which makes sense because they're not sloping at all. They're just flat, so slope of 0. So let's find the slope of a vertical line. So once again, I'm going to use that same formula. So I'm just going to pick point 1, I'm going to say is 4, 6, and point 2 is 4, 2. Now it really doesn't matter. It's totally random. You could switch them around. Doesn't matter who you decide is point 1 or point 2. But my formula stays the same. I'm subtracting the y's over the subtraction of my x's. So the y value from point 2 is 2. Minus the y value from point 1 is 6. The x value from point 2 is 4. And the x value from point 1 is also 4. So 2 minus 6 gives me negative 4, and 4 minus 4 gives me 0. I can't have anything out of 0. When this happens, our slope is what we call undefined. There is no such number out of 0. We can't have a denominator of 0. So a vertical line has an undefined slope. All right, lastly, let's try to find the slope from a table. So this time for my slope, I am going to focus on the fact that slope is my change in y over my change in x. So first I'm going to look at my y values. So my y values are down here, and I notice that I'm adding 3, I'm adding 3, I'm adding 3. So my y values are always going up by 3. That's my change in y. Then I'm going to look at my x values. My x values are going up by 2, up by 2, up by 2. I want to make sure that's consistent for the entire table, and it is. So my slope would be 3 over 2. I'm going to do the same thing here. So change in y over change in x. So first looking at my y values. This time they're going down 2, down 2, down 2. So my change in y is negative 2. My x values are going up 1, up 1, up 1. So negative 2 over 1. This one actually simplifies to a whole number, so I could just write this slope as negative 2.